watching him a lot on video, it's really different to play him versus seeing, because there's so much small varieties and small things he's constantly changing in the match, that whether it's changing the speed of his serve, it can be two short serves, but one's a little bit slower than the other, changing the placement, changing the amount of spin he's imparting on the ball.
Wow. Hey guys, and welcome back to Pechpong, a channel where I talk about tips that can help you improve. I do match reviews, as well as things I'm working on my game that might help your game as well. Today's topic is how to play against left-handers. And to do this, I had the honor to interview a friend of mine whose name is Kanak Jha. He's been able to play at the highest level against some of the best left-handed players in the world. So yeah, I'm very interested to hear his thoughts on playing against lefties. So without further ado, let's welcome the two-time Olympian, the bronze medalist in the Youth Olympics, the current quarterfinalist of the World Table Tennis Championships, and the four-time US National Champs. But above that, he's a really cool guy. So let's just sit back, relax, and learn from him together. Can you hear me?
Hey. I think so.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks
Good to see you, my man. I like the background.
Yeah, I got the whole setup here.
You got the table tennis level back as well?
We're training hard.
Yeah?
Training hard. Yeah. We're spending every free minute practicing.
Okay, I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Keeping a close eye on the YouTube channel. I'm a subscriber, so
yeah.
I like to see some good content. Want to see some dives, some dives, some counter loops.
I think I ran into the barrier the last one, so there's that.
Okay.
All right. So, I guess the first question is, like when you're playing really well, what are some things that you feel like you do, against lefties that really work?
In terms of my game particularly, the things I really focus on going to the match, especially with lefties, I would say, is the serve and receive game. For me personally, I feel one of my strengths is in the rally. I'm really fast, and most of the time I'm able to put a lot of time pressure on my opponent when it gets to the rally. So when I'm really good in the short serve and receive game in my first ball, and I'm able to start kind of safe, I would say. I'm not exactly so aggressive in the first balls, but I'm quite safe and early. Then my strength is in the rally, and that's kind of my main focus, and that's really what's going well when I'm in a really good flow in the match. Left-handers in general, I want to say they're much stronger from the backhand side than they are from the forehand side, and that doesn't always necessarily mean they have a very strong backhand, although many do. But even if they have a strong forehand, most left-handers tend to be stronger from the backhand side, whether it means pivoting or playing a very strong backhand shot. And so I think it's really good to play parallel against left-handers, which are down the line, you could say, as a lot of times left-handers are so used to training cross. They start with their backhand in the warm-up even. While we start with forehand, so it shows their dominant side normally is from the backhand side.
Yeah.
So it's a really good tactic to employ, playing a lot parallel, as many times they can get surprised by this. And for me personally, one of the things I find very useful against a left-handed player, regardless of their style for the most part, is playing to the wide forehand. So actually myself, one of the things I really improved on, I feel, in the last year or so is my backhand. And now playing against left-handers, I'm able to employ my backhand deep cross a lot of the times, which is exactly, and it really opens up the table, as often they're forced to take a step back to catch the ball, or they're out of position. And if you have a strong backhand and you're playing against a left-hander, many times in the rally you might have an advantage because you can play your backhand cross wide, and most people play cross without thinking. So even though it's good to play parallel, if you have a good backhand deep cross, that can pay a big advantage for you against most left-handed players.
So maybe like mix it up, like go down the line and then surprise them with that really wide one.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you play a lot against a lot of left-handers. That's one of their tactics as well. They like to play their backhand cross and get you out of position. A lot of backhand left-handed players have a very strong backhand block and punch, as they're so used to giving long and waiting on the backhand side and then blocking it out wide. So you can even use kind of their own tactic against them in this way. And it's something that it can be used in all levels, really. Even on the highest level, a lot of the same tactics are used, I feel, since I've been playing even at a lower level. So it's really interesting.
They scale up the tactic.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm always constantly learning. Me, myself, I don't consider myself exactly an expert on playing left-handers, but I do have a lot of experience. So I have certain ideas of what I want to do going into the match when I see I'm playing against a left-handed player.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you have anyone at your club that you play with who's left-handed right now, or?
Yeah, we do. So actually, I mean, if you guys who are watching don't know, I'm located in South Germany in a club called TTF Lieber Ochsenhausen. And it's a pretty international training group, actually. Right now, currently, I think we only have one left-hander in the group. His name is Erwin Bertrand. He also plays the Bundesliga.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, the group, we always have players coming and going. Actually, I don't know if I can share this, but I think Lin Ju will be coming also this week to train a bit in our club in Germany. So
nice.
You can't ask for a better left-hander than that, I think. So.
Yeah.
No, but I would say definitely the main training is mostly with right-handers, and that's how it is in a lot of training centers in Europe, especially. So there are definitely some big advantages for left-handers playing with their left hand, because most players are not used to training with left-handers.
Yeah. So it kind of leads me into my next thought is when a left-hander is playing like really hot and they're employing all these left-handed tactics, what are you trying to do to like kind of shut that down? Is it trying to beat them to their tactics first, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Every player, regardless whether you're right-handed, left-handed, penhold, chopper, they have their own unique style and their unique strengths and weaknesses. So for me personally, like I said earlier, I feel a lot of the times when I'm struggling, especially against left-handers, is when they're dominating me in the serve and receive game and the first ball. Because for me personally in the rally, I'm quite strong and fast. And left-handed, I feel a lot of times the moments in the match when I'm struggling is when they're really dominating me in the serve receive game and I can't find a solution. So yeah, you got to like kind of change your tactics many times when it's not working. So it really depends also on the player. For example, if I'm playing a player with a really strong backhand flick as a left-hander, and he's really dominating me coming in with the backhand flick and flicking really aggressively to my middle, to my forehand, and I'm always on the defensive side directly from the get-go of the point, then you got to try to change it up, maybe serve more long serves, maybe try to serve more half long where perhaps either they flick either not as aggressively or they're forced to start with a slower topspin, which then you can take over on the next ball. If you're playing someone with a very strong short game, as is often the case against left-handed players, and you're really struggling because they're really pushing all your serve short and they're really dominating the short game, putting a lot of quality, and you're not able to get an attack in and you're forced to play long, then yeah, maybe you got to change your tactic also. Maybe try serving more topspin, you can say, so they can't push short as easily. Maybe serving more no spin, so they can't perhaps cut short as aggressively as if you serve side spin. And there's always constantly changing tactics when you're playing against a good player of any style, but against left-handers, you always got to try to see what are they doing successfully and how can I change that to perhaps be able to impose my game more on the match.
Yeah. So it kind of, in a way, the points sometimes evolve. Like the strategy might be one thing at one point, but then you kind of evolve into another thing because you were able to shut them down in a certain area, and then maybe you revisit that same tactic, or what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to be able to play kind of a multi-dimensional game, have more than one idea going into the match. I feel a lot of players I played against, most players, I would say, in the table tennis world, they have kind of one style they play. And especially maybe not when you're talking about top 50, top 100 level players, but players outside that, they kind of have one style they play and they try to utilize that style. And if you can get them out of their rhythm, they really struggle to adapt during the match because, the match, you're feeling pressure and perhaps you haven't trained other techniques. So when you find a way to make the other player uncomfortable, a lot of the times your opponent will struggle to make changes during the match, as it takes a lot of experience and training to be able to switch tactics quickly in a match. So if you're able to find something successful against opponent, oftentimes it will be the deciding factor for the entire match even.
Okay. And as far as like you as a player, you want to be that multi-dimensional player who, even if they do switch the tactics, you're still got, plan B working for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think most top players in the world-class level are. You have to be be a player in the higher level. And yeah, personally, I feel that's actually one of my strengths. If you look at my style, I'm a very all-around player. You could say I'm not someone with a lot of power or an extremely strong feeling or shots away from the table, but I'm very all-around. I'm very adaptable, and that's something that's one of my biggest strengths that I'm able to bring into the match.
Yeah, that's one thing I really enjoy watching you play other players is because, you were at the World Championships and you got a whole different bunch of players and you played each person like differently.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I actually thought that too after the tournament. It's quite funny. I was like, wow, I played against a lot of different styles here in this tournament. I played some right-handers, some choppers, left-handers. I really played.
You played the whole thing.
A lot of different. Yeah, so it was quite funny to think about after the tournament how that worked out.
It was great to watch. It was an absolute clinic at times.
Yeah, I think every match was really hard. So I don't know if it was really I was always dominating the match, but I somehow in the end always found solutions
a way,
and survived. Yeah, so was a crazy tournament for sure.
That's cool. Do you mind talking a little bit about the Timo Boll, the match, what you feel like strategy wise and what kind of happened during that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's not one of my fondest matches, as definitely one of the toughest losses in my career. I mean, it's not many chances you get to play in a World Championship quarterfinals, fighting for a medal, especially in your home country. So it was probably the biggest match in my career, and it was really disappointing. I couldn't take the match. It's definitely a great learning experience going forward. I'm also a young player, so definitely learned a lot of things from the match. And yeah, I would say about the match, one of his biggest strengths is he has so much variety in his game, and it's sometimes hard to see that from the outside. Even me as a professional player watching him a lot on video, it's really different to play him versus seeing, because there's so much small varieties and small things he's constantly changing in the match that it was really hard for me to find my rhythm and to even get comfortable for even 2-3 points in a row, as I felt he was always changing things. Whether it's changing the speed of his serve, it can be two short serves, but one's a little bit slower than the other, changing the placement, changing the amount of spin he's imparting on the ball.
Wow.
So that was I would say the main thing causing me a lot of problems throughout the matches. I could never find a comfortable zone as he has so much variety, and I'd say maybe that's one of his biggest strengths that perhaps most people who are just a fan of the sport don't realize.
Yeah, from the outside, like you said, it's hard to see that, but I can imagine. I mean, because everyone seems to have trouble with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember he's also so experienced as well. He's been playing the highest level since forever. I think 2000 maybe could be his first World Championships. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, he has a lot of hidden strengths, I'd say, that perhaps most people don't give him credit for. Obviously, he's famous for having a lot of spin on the ball and having an amazing feeling, but and control. But yeah, he has a lot of other strengths as well that make him a really tricky player to beat in a 7-game match or a
Yeah.
5-game match as well. To be honest, I mean,
Yeah,
he's one of
yeah.
the best in the world.
That's cool. So for players like me and others,
Mhm.
what kind of skills would you say are should I work on to play better against lefties? What, like the top 3 or so?
Um, okay, I mean, in general, I'd say a simple one is try to play or practice with a lot of left-handed players. If you, it's kind of a general logic. I
Yeah,
would say
yeah.
you want to be better at something, you practice that that thing. And if you want to be better against playing lefties, you got to be able to practice with a lot of lefties. If you're not able to, then maybe the next best thing would be to watch a lot of video analysis on other players playing against lefties and seeing what they do to make you successful. For me, it's really hard to give general advice as each player has a unique style.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can't, my strengths perhaps will not be your strengths when playing against a left-handed player. But I would say, like I've kind of said this whole video, the serve receive game is really important against left-handers. I see a lot of times, especially also when I'm in the US for US national or something, young kids or maybe lower level players, they really struggle against left-handers, against their serve, against their different receives that left-handers make and the spins. So maybe one advice I would say is if you're struggling with a left-handed player serves, it's never a bad idea to just cut long, to just give it long. If you don't know the spin, maybe just give it long, long to the middle, or a little bit slower receive. So perhaps you can read the spin a little bit better. Because most players, especially now with the plastic ball, it's really hard to finish the point on the first shot. It's so if you're playing against a left-handed player and you can't find any solutions in the first 2 points, maybe just give long and one good block and suddenly you're in the rally. And that's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
enough to mitigate. I mean, there's a lot of small things you can do. One of the most well-known, I would say, tactics is serving half long to a left-handed player's wide forehand, because no matter how much you train this shot, there's not many options you can do. You can obviously loop cross court, which you can be ready for. So if you say serve to the wide forehand, wide half long forehand, a left-handed player, oftentimes they will only perhaps loop slowly to your backhand side, and you can be
Yeah.
ready with either a strong backhand or a step around or a good block. And there are solutions, but that's just generally a very well-known and well-used tactic in the table tennis
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
So that's also another one I wanted to mention now that I think about it.
Yeah, yeah. The
And
forehand pendulum serve, I mean, goes both ways, right? You can use it against them and they can use it against you.
mhm. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, and maybe another idea, just I can say right now, is a lot of times when a left-handed player receives very aggressively, whether it's with they have a very good flick or forehand flick, backhand flick, or a very heavy push. One of the ways to mitigate that is to just serve with less spin and a little bit slower. So if you start to serve no spin, just a low no spin serve, it doesn't have to be great quality, but if it's short and low, most of the time it's hard to really do anything aggressive against that serve. If you're serving a low no spin serve, it's hard to flick aggressively. It's hard to push short or long with a lot of spin. And then perhaps you have a few more possibilities to get into the game and get into your own tactics and get the first attack. So that's also an idea that perhaps you can use in the match if they're just receiving too well and you're not
yeah,
able to
yeah.
find
Kind of
ways to
limit their
get an
options.
attack in. Yeah, exactly. Maybe
Okay.
simplify the game down. If it's not working, push long, serve slow, no spin, and suddenly maybe the game is you see more ideas then out of
Okay.
this as they can't maybe start so aggressively.
Yeah, that's some good advice. I like those. All right. Your thoughts on the Lin Yun-Ryu match?
Mhm. Um, I gotta say first, that's probably one of the highlights of my career so far. I mean, first to beat him, even at that period in 2018, he was already a top player in the world, and it was a huge upset. But then as well to steal one against him for a bronze medal in the Youth Olympics, that was really
Big
special
one.
in my career. Yeah, definitely. I don't remember the match so clearly, to be honest, as it was a while ago, and it was such an emotional match for me. But I mean, obviously, everybody knows his backhand flick is so aggressive, even back then. And obviously, I got to say now, perhaps the stuff I did back then, first, not perhaps, for sure, would not work now, as he's improved so much since then. He's, I think, number 7 or 8 in the world right now. So it's just incredible how good he is in the sport. And uh, yeah, I think I did a really good job. I served a lot long, I would say, much more than I expected going into the match. I served a lot long, a lot half long. So I made him, I'd say, more uncomfortable than most players are able to make him, as he didn't feel so confident going in with backhand flip
Yeah.
as perhaps he is against other players, because I was serving so often long. And yeah, I think also my blocking game is one of my strengths, and maybe perhaps at that time, 2018 October, I want to say he's not as powerful as a player as he is now. So I was able to win a lot of points kind of blocking and surviving against his attack, and as well as blocking his flick. I felt when he was flicking really aggressive, when I was able to just have a short technique and kind of block his flick back, often that would be enough to get the advantage in the point, as he really goes fully into the backhand flick. And as I was able to block quickly and early, he would be caught off guard, as it takes a lot of distance to move all the way into the backhand flick back out into the rally. And if you're able to block fast or just block short technique and use his own speed and power, it would
Yeah.
often catch him out of position. And actually, I remember one point very well at 3-3-9-9, when that exact thing happened. I served short and he flicked really aggressively, and I just blocked it back. I didn't try to take over anything. And the block was already so fast from his own quality of his flick, and didn't have time really, and he was forced to just catch it with a lob, and I was able to
Yeah.
finish the point.
Okay.
So I definitely remember that was a huge key for me in the match. But yeah, it was a crazy match for sure.
Made some clutch shots, and yeah, like you said, it was a good matchup at that moment in time. His attacking, and you have like a really good block, so like it's a good matchup, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it's not exactly a match I would look forward to play again, for sure. He's on another level. This guy, he's reading the game so well. But yeah, definitely a big win in my career, and hopefully, I mean, maybe if we play again in the future, I can be able to challenge him in some areas. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I look forward to that
he's doing
match.
some
It'll be a
special
good
things.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe a few people would be, because a lot of people like to say maybe you stole one against him last time. Maybe he would feel a little bit uncomfortable to play you, but yeah, I think it would be a really, I'd have to do something really special in order to challenge him again at this moment, because his level is really high now.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
All
good.
right.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on, and yeah, hopefully I can get this up
Yeah.
and everyone can see it.
Yeah. Looking forward to see the video back.
All right.
Big subscriber here. So
Big subscriber. All right. All right, Kanak.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I learned a lot of information from that video. Some things that really stood out to me were his kind of tactics and his situational tactics, like his example when he played against Lin Yun-Ryu, how he served more medium long and long to shut down Lin's flip or make it a little bit softer. Also the Timo Boll match, because of all the little changes that Timo makes, and from the outside you don't really see that, but when you're playing the match you really feel it. And that's something I feel like I could do more in my game as well, is to make these small changes and really give my opponent more trouble and make them have to adjust more to my playing style or my tactics. Anytime you get to talk with a really high-level player, it's really great because it's very conclusive, and the information you give it works at the highest level. I want to do more of these kinds of videos in the future because, it helps me improve as well. So not only am I helping you guys, but I keep improving my knowledge, and it's just this great circle of information happening. That's it for today, and I will see you guys in the next video.